Hi there, my name is Miss Townsend and I love math. Welcome to Math with Townsend. This video is for grade 10 students who are working on the year-end summative. From the summative, this is question 16a, and it's from the trigonometry section. The question says, solve each triangle and round your answers to the nearest tenth of a unit. So 16a gives us information about a triangle called JKL. So I like to draw a sketch just to help me orient. And obviously I'm not trying to measure angles here. I'm not trying to make it look reasonable. I just want to be able to say, well, here's J, K, and L, and label my diagram just as a starting point. So we know that the vertices are J, K, L, and we're using capital letters because that's how you label properly a triangle vertices. Now I'm going to label the other sides. So in the information I'm given, the other sides are named JK and JL. So obviously this is side JK. Now we can also call it side little l because it's the side opposite vertex L, so we could use small case L to identify the side. And it is 9.0 meters in length. I also know that side JL is a certain length, so here's side JL. Now it's opposite vertex K, so I could also label it with a little k. And we know that it's 5.2 meters. And the other information we have is that the angle J, so this angle here, angle J, is 73 degrees. So solving a triangle means to find all of the missing side lengths and all of the missing angles. So for me to have finished this question, I need to have found this angle, and the length of this side. So the information I have, I know an angle, and I know two side lengths. And I don't have any information that tells me that I have a 90-degree angle. Therefore, I can't use the concepts found in basic trig. So concepts like SOHCAHTOA and the Pythagorean theorem are off limits because this is not a right-angled triangle as far as I know. So that means I have to use either the sine law or the cosine law. So for me to use the sine law, so let's just remind ourselves what the sine law looks like. I have it here in nice form. Here's what the sine law looks like. So in order to use the sine law, we need to know either an angle and its corresponding side, or perhaps this angle and its corresponding side, or this angle and its corresponding side. In other words, to use the sine law, we would need to have one complete pair of vertex with its corresponding side. So if you think about what the information here that I have is, I know angle J, but I don't know side J. I know side K, but not angle K. I know side L, but not angle L, so I can't use the sine law yet. And that means I have to use the cosine law. So, just to reset my screen here, there's the information I have, and here's the cosine law that we're going to use. So, c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2abc. And of course, whenever you're using the cosine law, it's really important to recognize that the angle used in the cosine part of this equation must be the same letter as the side that's isolated on the left. So in this particular question, the information I have is not about triangle ABC, it's about triangle JKL. And the information that I have is about angle J, which means small j has to be the side over here because this is going to be angle J. And then the other two sides are K and L. So first, I'm going to write the cosine law using the appropriate names from this particular question. So I have side K, I have side L, KL, and then there's cosine J. So again, if we go back, I just want to make sure I get the right information. Side JK is also known as little l, so this is little l, and side JL is also called little k. So when I substitute, I'll substitute the correct values. So I know little k, I know L, I know K and L, and I know that. So I'm just going to go right ahead and substitute into this equation what I know. So K squared plus L squared minus 2K L cosine J. And so the information I have, K is 5.2. So that's where K goes. L, side length L is 9.0, and cosine of J would be the cosine of 73. So now I just have to make sure that I follow proper order of operations and do these calculations. So let's see what we have here. So 5.2 squared is 27.04. 9.0 squared is 81. And then this is the way I do it. I leave the minus and then do all of this calculation all at once in my calculator, because it's 2 times 5.2 times 9 times the cosine of 73. So make sure you're comfortable using your calculator, especially when it comes to trigonometry. Some calculators you type in cosine 73, and some calculators you type in 73 cosine. So make sure you know how to properly use your calculator. So this would be 27.37. So j squared equals, so now I'm just going to do 27.04 plus 81 minus this number. So 27.04 plus 81 minus 27.37. So I get 80.67. And then I just need to take the square root of that number, and I get 8.98. Now, if I was rounding to one decimal place, I would say it was 9.0, but I'm not actually going to do that. The reason why I'm not going to round to 9.0 is because this side is 9.0. And I think I might be off a little bit in my final answers if I round too much too early. So I'm going to leave it at 8.98, and we'll deal with the consequences later if we have to. So now, if we go back to our triangle, now I know that this side is 8.98, and what that means is that I now have a complete pair of an angle and its corresponding side, which means now I can use the sine law. So the sine law is back in play because I have a complete set of vertex with its angle. So let's go ahead and finish the math here. So I'm going to set up the sine law. So again, the sine law looks like this. Sine j over little j equals sine k over little k, and I'll worry about L later. So again, now substituting in what I know. So I know that sine j means sine 73. Little j I just calculated to be 8.98. Sine angle k, I still don't know that, but I always knew that side k was, oops, I just forgot it, 5.2. So there's one unknown, which means I can now try to solve. So I'm not going to type these numbers into my calculator yet. I'm going to rearrange the formula first. So I'm going to start by, if I want to isolate sine k, I need to multiply by 5.2 to get rid of that divide. So on both sides, if I multiply by 5.2, my next step would look like this. And at this point, I can do all of this calculation in my calculator to get a value for sine k. So that's what I'm going to do next. 5.2 times sine 73. And then I press equals, and then I press divide by 8.98. So I get 0.5538 equals sine k. And then now to actually find the value of k, I need to undo the operation called sine. And the way to undo the operation called sine is something called inverse sine. So this is what inverse sine looks like. So I'm going to do inverse sine on both sides. So here it just cancels, and it shows up here as inverse sine. So that's what gets typed into my calculator next, inverse sine of 0.5538, and I get an answer of 33.6 degrees equals angle K. So now, if we go back to the original triangle, now I know that this angle is 33.6 degrees. So now to calculate angle L, I could set up the sine law again, but since I know two of the angles in my triangle, I can calculate the third pretty quickly by using the angle sum theory, which tells me that all the angles in a triangle add to 180, and therefore angle L is equal to 180 minus the angles that I know already. And I know 73 and 33.6. So calculating that, I get that my missing angle, angle L, is 73.4 degrees. So I've solved the triangle because I found that the missing side, side J, which is also called side KL, is, what was it again? 8.98 centimeters. So now I might round it, but I'm going to leave it whatever, or 9.0 centimeters. And angle K is 33.6 degrees. Angle L is 73.4 degrees. So I've solved the triangle. Okay, I hope that was helpful. And in the next video, I'll do part B of this question.